My wife got a tattoo of her soulmate's name, and it wasn't mine. She said it was harmless, a joke from college, so I left her the next day, but not before booking her a laser removal appointment under her new boyfriend's name. I'm Nate, 33, male, and I guess I should start by saying I used to think love was about trust, about knowing someone down to their bones. I believed in that kind of ride-or-die love that gets you through job losses, hospital bills, even death in the family. Turns out, all it takes to blow that up is 3 syllables, inked forever across a wrist that doesn't belong to you. The tattoo was on her left arm, just under the elbow, where she used to rest her coffee cup. It was fresh, still red around the edges, the skin shiny with that plasticky ointment. I saw it when she reached across the counter for the salt. Jace, black script, cursive, fancy, a name I didn't recognize. Or maybe I just didn't want to. Who's Jace? I asked, stupidly casual, like I hadn't just spotted another man's name on my wife's skin. She was wearing my hoodie. Her hair was still damp from the shower we'd taken together. Amber, my wife of 6 years, 31 years old, graphic designer, smart as hell and sharp-tongued when cornered, shrugged. Oh, that? It's just a dumb joke. From college. I waited. She didn't elaborate. My heart had already started that weird galloping thing, where it's not fear yet, but something worse. Dread. My mouth went dry. A joke? Yeah, she laughed. Forced. Too loud. Me and my friends all got tattoos that night, drunk bonding. Mine was supposed to be a tribute to my soulmate. We all picked made-up names. Jace isn't even real. I stared at her. She didn't meet my eyes. Why now? I asked. You got that tattoo last night. Why get a college joke inked onto your arm now? She froze, and that was when I knew. You know that pause? That half-second glitch where someone forgets their story mid-lie? She had it. She tried to recover. It's just nostalgic. I've been thinking about those days a lot. My mouth moved before I could stop it. You seeing someone? What? Her voice cracked on the word, then got louder. Are you serious right now? You think I'd cheat on you? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The air was thick with it. Something between rage and heartbreak. I walked out of the kitchen. She followed. It's just ink. God, you're being dramatic. You don't even know what it means. No, I said quietly. But you do. She threw her hands up. It's not a big deal. It's another man's name. It's nobody's name. I looked at her then. Really looked. And I realized I didn't know who the hell she was anymore. That night, I slept in the guest room. The next morning, I packed a bag. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just left. But not before I booked her a laser removal appointment under a new name. Jace. Let's see how funny that joke is when the receptionist calls it out in the waiting room. I didn't even leave a note. Just the printed appointment slip on the fridge. Her name, the address, the date, 3 days from now. And at the bottom, in the scheduled by field, it said, Jace Milton, bold, black font, unmistakable. I left my keys on the kitchen counter and walked out the door. I expected her to call, to blow up my phone, scream, beg, whatever. But Amber didn't call. Not that day. Not the next either. It was like she disappeared, or maybe I was the one who'd vanished. I spent the first night at my brother's place. Ben, 35, my older brother by 2 years, the guy who used to punch holes in drywall when he was 20, but somehow turned into the stable one with a mortgage and a labradoodle. He took one look at me when I showed up with my duffel bag and a dead stare and said, living room couch, beer in the fridge, I'll cancel my date. I didn't ask what he canceled. I just collapsed onto his couch and stared at the ceiling for hours. My phone was in my pocket, burning a hole into my thigh. Nothing from her. I kept wondering what the hell Jace meant. Was it really a college joke? A drunk dare that stuck too long in her brain? Or had he always been there, somewhere in her mind, tucked away like a scar she didn't want to heal? And worse, was he still around? The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened her old laptop, the one she stopped using when she got her new Mac. It was still synced to her iCloud. Her messages, her emails, her photos. I know. That's the kind of move you regret. That makes you feel like the villain in your own story. But I had to know. Took me 15 minutes to find it. An email chain from 3 months ago. Subject line, Miss You Too. Sent to a Jace Milton at a Gmail address. The messages were short, playful, and absolutely gutting. Remember when we said we'd get tattoos if we ever saw each other again? You always knew how to pull my strings. Don't tempt me. I might actually do it this time. And then, a photo. Taken in the tattoo shop. Her arm, red and raw. The word Jace in cursive. The timestamp? 2 nights ago. I sat there, hands trembling, breath caught in my throat like I'd swallowed glass. I felt stupid. Violated. But worst of all, I felt secondary. Like I was the runner-up in my own marriage. I took a screenshot. Just one. Not to share, not to expose her, just to remind myself I wasn't crazy. That night, Ben asked if I wanted to talk about it. I told him no, not yet. Instead, I sat outside on his porch, watching the stars and wondering how many other nights she'd smiled in my face while writing love notes to someone else. It wasn't just the name on her arm. It was the life I didn't know she had, and I was done pretending I could fix it. I saw her again on day 4. She showed up at Ben's place just before noon, like she'd waited until she was sure I'd be awake, but not quite ready to let me have my peace. I was in the garage, helping Ben sand down an old dresser he was restoring. I heard the doorbell, then his voice. Nate, it's her. I wiped my hands on a rag and stepped out to the front porch. Amber stood there like a statue. Tight jeans, oversized sweater, no makeup. She looked like hell. Good. Her eyes welled up the second she saw me. Nate! I didn't answer. She took a step closer, but I didn't move. She stopped cold, like she could feel the wall I'd built in those 4 days. I wanted to explain. I scoffed. You want to explain why my wife got another man's name tattooed on her body while lying to my face about it? It's not what you think, she said quickly. Her voice trembled. Oh, good, I said. So it wasn't Jace from the emails? Or the same Jace who emailed you a heart emoji after you sent the tattoo pic? That hit her. She looked like I'd slapped her. You went through my stuff? I went through my life and found someone else's name carved into it like a vandal left a signature. She flinched. It was just closure. He reached out and No, I cut her off. Closure is deleting the message. You got a tattoo. I didn't sleep with him, she whispered, as if that made it better. I don't care if you faked a nun's vows while texting him. Amber, you inked another man's name on your body and told me it was a joke. You let me hold that arm. You made breakfast in my hoodie. You kissed me goodnight while still smelling like antiseptic and betrayal. She started crying. Full-blown sobs now. Not pretty. Delicate tears. Ugly, gasping, mascara-streaked chaos. Nate, please, she said. It didn't mean anything. It's not real. It was a stupid impulse. I tilted my head. Then you won't mind getting it removed. She blinked. I pulled out my phone and opened the photo of the appointment slip I'd printed for her. Held it up like a warrant. Tomorrow, 11:30, laser removal. Booked under Jace Milton. Let them call that name out in a room full of strangers. Let it sink in. She choked out a sob. That's so cruel. You branded yourself with a lie and called it a joke. I'm just helping you erase it. She reached out, maybe to touch my arm. I stepped back. You don't get to rewrite this, I said quietly. Not now. She looked shattered, like something real had finally cracked. And it had. Her control. She turned and stumbled down the steps, crying all the way to her car. As she drove off, Ben came out behind me. You okay? No, I said. But I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. I went inside and poured myself a drink. Because tomorrow was laser day. And Amber wasn't ready for what came next. She didn't show up to the appointment, but someone else did. I was sitting in my truck across the street from the laser removal clinic, sipping a gas station coffee, when a black Lexus pulled into the lot, brand new. Tinted windows. License plate frame said, UT alumni, figures. Then the door opened, and out stepped a man I instantly recognized. Jace. I'd only ever seen him in photos. Those grainy, old college party pics Amber kept in a shoebox she thought I never opened. But it was him. Same jawline. Same smug, just stepped out of a GQ ad look. He was older now. More filled out. Wearing some overpriced jacket and a face that hadn't been punched nearly enough for my taste. He walked in like he owned the building. My hands clenched the steering wheel. I should have driven off. Should have let it go, but I didn't. I waited. 20 minutes later, he came out. Alone. No Amber. No bandages. Just a confused look on his face. Glancing down at a paper in his hand like he'd been tricked. I saw the receptionist come outside a second later. Call out, Mr. Milton? Before giving him a weird look and walking back in. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Loud. Bitter. Joyful in the worst way. Then I texted her. One line. He looked lost. Guess the joke's not as funny when it's aimed at him. No response. That afternoon, Amber blew up my phone. 10 missed calls, 4 voicemails, and a 5-paragraph text that started with, I can't believe you'd involve him like that, and ended with, you're being toxic and vindictive and I don't even recognize you anymore. Good, because I didn't recognize myself for the last year either. Not the guy who ignored the late nights, the cold shoulders, the locked phone, the man who made excuses for her distance and mistook it for stress. This me was done playing the fool. I screenshotted her messages, deleted her number, and set my lock screen to something new. A cropped image of the appointment confirmation with, scheduled by Jace Milton, in bold. A trophy, really. But that's not the twist. Not yet. The twist came 2 days later when my boss pulled me aside at work. Nate, he said, rubbing the back of his neck, I got a call. From someone claiming to be your wife's attorney. What? Said you were harassing her. That you set her up for public embarrassment, some kind of retaliation. They're not filing anything yet, but it's a bad look, man. I couldn't believe it. She was trying to paint me as abusive now, like I was the unstable one, like I had betrayed her. That's when I snapped. Not just angry, focused, cold. You want to drag this into the public? Cool, let's make it public. I started gathering everything. Emails, screenshots, photos of the tattoo, the appointment confirmation, and that one gem I almost missed. The photo she sent him in the mirror, proudly showing off his name on her arm. Every piece of her secret life. A curated museum of betrayal. And I knew exactly where to send it. Update 1. I didn't expect this post to blow up. I thought I was screaming into the void, but apparently the void had opinions and a savage sense of humor. I read every comment, even the unhinged ones, especially the unhinged ones. To answer some quick stuff, yes, she really tattooed his name. No, it wasn't henna. I have photographic proof. No, I didn't physically confront Jace. Tempting, believe me. But I'm not catching a charge over this. And yes, she's still trying to play the victim. Some of y'all said I should have had the tattoo artist ink liar over it instead. Someone else said I should have shown up to the laser clinic dressed as a grief counselor. Dark, I respect it. But the best comment? Don't fight her lies. Expose her truth. Loudly. So that's what I did. Remember that little museum of receipts I mentioned? I emailed it to exactly 3 people. Her boss, small design firm, very we're a family vibes. Her mom, church lady, big into Facebook prayer chains. And Jace's fiance. Oh yeah, bet you didn't see that one coming. Her name's Mallory. Found her through a tag in one of Jace's Instagram vacation pics. He's not exactly subtle. I tracked her LinkedIn, found her work email, corporate HR, bless her, and sent everything in a neat little Dropbox folder titled, Thought You Deserved the Truth. No commentary, no threats, just screenshots, a date-stamped timeline, the tattoo photo, the mirror selfie Amber sent with, Can't stop thinking about you XOXO kissy face. Mallory replied 2 hours later. One line, Thank you. I've already canceled the venue. Amber, meanwhile, is losing her mind. I finally unblocked her just to watch the train wreck. Voicemails like, How could you do this to me? You're ruining my career. My mom called me sobbing, Nate. Sobbing. Do you want me to lose everything? I loved you. I just got confused, okay? Please don't do this. But I didn't do this. She did. I just lit a match next to the pile of lies she built and stepped back. You don't get to carve another man's name into your body and then ask me to pretend it never happened. She wanted to live in fantasy. I handed her the consequences. Real and raw and permanent. She got her soulmate. She lost everything else. And I'm free. She showed up at my job. Not a text, not a call, not even a heads up through Ben. Just walked straight into the warehouse like she still had a right to my life. I was in the back, checking a pallet of electrical equipment, when I heard Dave from the front office yell, Nate, there's a woman here asking for you. She says she's your wife? I froze. It had been 2 days since the first update, since I dropped the receipts on her boss, her mom, and poor Mallory. 2 days of silence followed by an explosion I didn't even get to hear, just watched through the debris. And now, here she was. In my world, my space, where she didn't belong anymore. I stepped out into the front lobby and saw her, Amber, pale, red-eyed, wearing sunglasses indoors like it could somehow hide the wreckage. Nate, she breathed, standing up like she expected me to run to her. I didn't move. You're not supposed to be here. I had to come, she said, voice already trembling. You're not answering my calls. You're making people think I didn't make anyone think anything. I just showed them what you did. Nate, please. Her voice cracked on the last syllable, and I watched as the mask slipped again. She took a desperate step forward. I messed up. Okay? I panicked. Jace wasn't what I thought. I ended it. He's not even talking to me anymore. I'm losing everything. That's not my problem. I cut in, ice in my throat. That's what happens when you gamble with people's lives. She was crying again, snot and all, like she thought breaking down in front of my coworkers would earn her some kind of sympathy point. The front office went dead silent. Dave awkwardly slipped into the back. I loved you, she sobbed. I thought you'd understand. It didn't mean anything. I was just confused, and you got his name inked on your body, Amber. Don't act like this was a bad dream you tripped into. I didn't sleep with him, she shouted suddenly. And that did it. One of the interns visibly flinched in the corner. That's not the flex you think it is, I snapped. You just emotionally wrecked 2 relationships, torched your job, humiliated yourself, and for what? Some fantasy you romanticized for 10 years? She stared at me like I'd punched her. Maybe I had. Not with fists, but with truth. And that's when she snapped. She lunged at me. Not violently, but desperate. Pathetic. Clinging. Grabbed my sleeve like if she held tight enough she could reverse time. Please, Nate, I'm begging you. I'll get it removed. I'll go to therapy. We can fix this. You loved me once? Doesn't that mean anything? I looked down at her hand on my arm, at the chipped nail polish, the trembling fingers. Then I looked her dead in the eye and said, I did love you. But the woman I loved died the moment she started hiding Jace's name in our bed. and I pried her fingers off one by one. She fell apart right there in the lobby, slumped to the floor, full-on sobbing, as I walked away without looking back. I heard her say something behind me, but I couldn't make it out over the sound of my own heart finally going quiet. I should have known she'd drag her mom into it. 2 days after the scene at my job, I get a knock on Ben's front door. It's a Sunday morning. I'm halfway through my first decent cup of coffee in a week, and I open the door thinking it might be a package or someone from the HOA about Ben's garbage cans being out too long. Nope, it's Linda, Amber's mom, wearing pearls, like we were about to sip tea and discuss Civil War letters, not the radioactive fallout of her daughter's imploding life. "Nathan," she says, arms crossed like she's about to scold a child for coloring outside the lines. "We need to talk." I nearly laughed. "Do we?" She pushes past me, into Ben's house, like it's her house. Ben, God bless him, peeks around the corner from the kitchen, sees her, and mouths, "Want me to call the cops?" I shake my head. 5 minutes, I tell her. "Then you leave." She sits, back straight, expression pure judgment. "This thing between you and Amber, this thing," I interrupt, "is her cheating on me emotionally, tattooing another man's name on her body, lying about it, and dragging innocent people down with her. What part do you want to discuss?" She glares. "Amber is hurting. She's made mistakes, but she's trying to repair the damage. And what you did? Going to her employer, her mother, that was spiteful." I snorted. "Ma'am, with all due respect, your daughter nuked our marriage and tried to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. I didn't out her. I exposed the truth. She's being publicly shamed, Nathan." "She should be." Linda recoiled like I'd slapped her. "You don't mean that." "Yes, I do," I said. "Because while your daughter was playing soulmate bingo with her old flame, I was out here grieving a future I actually believed in." Linda stood, face twisted. "You don't kick someone when they're down." "She wasn't down," I said. "She was climbing over me to chase someone else." And then she said it, the sentence that flipped something deep and cold in my chest. "You're being emotional. Maybe if you'd been more of a man in this marriage, she wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere." It was like getting punched without the courtesy of a fist. I stood, walked to the door, opened it. "Out, Nathan. Get outside. Before I forget how much I used to respect you." She glared at me, grabbed her purse, and stormed out without another word. And the worst part? Ben clapped when the door shut. Not sarcastically, not performative. He just gave me one slow, steady clap. "You good?" he asked. "I will be." Because Linda's little visit? That was the match on the gas. I'd been holding back, but now I was about to bury them in receipts and take back everything they tried to steal. Update 2. All right, Reddit, buckle up. After Linda's little drive-by sermon and Amber's public meltdown at my job, I realized something. They weren't going to stop. This wasn't about an apology. This wasn't even about getting me back. It was about control. Amber had lost the narrative. And now she and Mommy Dearest were clawing at whatever scraps of her old image they could salvage, playing the victim, whispering in corners, spinning their little tale of emotional abuse, and he took it too far. Nah. So I stopped playing defense, and I documented everything. First, I compiled a little timeline, started with the day she got the tattoo, added in her emails to Jace, the mirror selfie, the removal appointment booked under his name, her tantrum at my job, Linda's visit, all of it. Then I uploaded the entire dossier to a private link on Google Drive. I sent it to one person, Amber's firm's HR director. Why? Because I found out something delicious. Amber had a non-disparagement clause in her contract. Standard stuff for a boutique design firm working with high-end clients. Turns out she'd been bad-mouthing me at work, crying in meetings, telling coworkers I was stalking her, that I forged the laser appointment to punish her, that I was manipulating her with emotional threats. Funny how that works when your own emails to your ex say, "I can't stop thinking about you. I wish we could go back." I didn't even need to accuse her of anything. I let her own words do the work. 2 days later, her LinkedIn said, "Looking for new opportunities." Oops. Then came the final act. See, Linda had hosted a little anniversary dinner at her house every year. A big event. Church friends, neighbors, Amber's old professors, basically her entire orbit. Polished silverware, roast chicken, Christian wine vibes, real white-knuckle tradition. So I RSVP'd for one last appearance. Showed up dressed nice, calm, smiling. Handed Linda a wrapped box and said, "Thought this might help clear the air." Inside, a printed photo of Amber's tattoo, framed. Underneath, a typed quote, "You don't kick someone when they're down." Linda, 3 days ago, she turned to sheet white. I turned around and walked out, past the murmurs, past the old ladies gasping, past Amber, who'd apparently still been invited, standing in the corner, red-eyed and silent. That was the last time I saw either of them, until the church unfollowed them both on Facebook. Guess the prayer chain didn't extend to serial cheaters. So yeah, She wanted to play games. I wrote the ending. Jace finally reached out. Not through Amber, not through Linda, directly. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was elbows deep under Ben's truck replacing a busted fuel pump when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally I ignore those, but something told me to pick up. Hello? Silence. Then, hey, is this Nate? His voice was quieter than I expected. Uncertain. No smugness. No frat boy bravado like I'd imagined. Just hollow. This is Nate, I said slowly. This is Jace. I didn't say anything. Just let the silence hang. I know this is probably weird, he said quickly, and I wouldn't blame you for hanging up, but I think we should talk. Why? Because I didn't know, he said, voice cracking slightly, about you, that she was married. I swear to God, man. I didn't believe him at first, but I didn't hang up either. So he talked, and I listened. He told me they'd reconnected on Instagram. She told him she was separated, that her marriage was over, just hadn't told anyone yet. Said I was controlling, distant, and had checked out emotionally months ago. She fed him all the right lines, the ones that justify every selfish decision. And he believed her. Said she'd talked about him like he was her unfinished story. He even offered to show me the messages like that would fix something. I already saw them, I said. Everything I needed to see. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said something I didn't expect. I got the tattoo too. I froze. What? She said if we were soulmates, we should both do it. Said she was going to leave you soon, that it would be a sign, so I did. On my ribs. Hurt like hell. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was perfect. She lied to both of us, he said. I feel like an idiot. You were an idiot, I said. But you weren't the only one. He didn't argue. I'm sorry, he said finally. Not that it means much. You still with her? I asked. Number. After the fiancé thing? I couldn't. She ruined too many lives, man. Mine. Yours. Heron. I just wish I'd seen it sooner. Yeah, I said. Me too. We hung up after that. And you know what? I didn't hate him. Not anymore. He was just another guy with a scar that looked like her handwriting. The ring sat in my drawer for weeks. Not out of sentiment. Not even because I couldn't let go. I kept it like a scar you press just to feel something. A reminder of the version of me that believed in her. In us. In forever. It was a simple ring. Platinum band. Conflict-free diamond. Because she was passionate about ethical jewelry back when she had a soul. I spent 2 months' salary on it. Picked it out with my mom. Had it engraved inside, real love doesn't flinch. Ironic, huh? After the whole Jace call, after nuking every last bridge she tried to crawl back across, I knew what I had to do. I didn't want to keep it. Didn't want to sell it online either. Too impersonal, too easy. I wanted something deliberate. So I found a little pawn shop in a part of town she'd never go to, run by a guy named Clay who wore a bolo tie and kept a shotgun behind the counter, just in case. No frills, no questions. I walked in with the ring in my palm, velvet box and all. He popped it open, whistled low. Nice rock, he said. Breakup? I nodded. He tilted his head. You want top dollar or you want satisfaction? That got my attention. Go on. Clay pulled out a small plastic bin from under the counter. Inside? Dozens of rings. All pawned. All with their own stories. We keep 'em here a while, let 'em stew. Sometimes we melt 'em down. Sometimes we repurpose 'em, but sometimes, he grinned, we donate 'em, women's shelters, divorce recovery programs. You'd be surprised how many women never got to pick their own ring the first time around. I stared at him, then at the bin, and for the first time since this whole thing blew up, I felt light. Give it to someone who deserves it, I said. He nodded solemnly, took the box. You sure? I smiled. Yeah, I'm done holding on to reminders of people who flinch. As I walked out, the sun hit just right, warm, honest, like it hadn't in months. Amber had tried to rewrite our story, but I wrote the final line, and it didn't end with revenge. It ended with release. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge is moving on while they're still picking up the ashes.